Instagram didn't like it, and then I had all the Nigerians. They had at least 1,000 accounts of me, and they were scamming so many millions of dollars that off of people that my DMs were just racked with.
How did you know it was a Nigerian?
Because I talked to them.
Wow!
They call. Hey, hold on now. And I go live on my feed. They jump on my feed, on my real page, and there's 4 Nigerians. They're all Louis Vuitton and Gucci'd up.
Nice.
They got a couple of phones. They're talking to me, admitting what they're doing. They were, showing me where they lived. They showed me their village. They showed me their apartment building with a name on it. Down the streets, little kids running around, everything they showed me. And they said,
wow.
They flexed the fraud.
When you looked at my analytics, it was the United States, and then it was Nigeria.
Jerry, we got some trips planned to go over there, man, so you might as well go with us, man. We'll set that shit straight.
So there's this dude called Hush Puppy that got... Give me some ganja.
Okay, welcome back to the Lasagna Ganja podcast. Our first guest, Tammy.
Yes.
Jerry K.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? My man, he's coming in here. He's one of my favorite people in cannabis. I've met him, Chris the Glove, one of my guys. You know what I'm saying? We come from the record industry together. I see them together constantly. What's your relationship with Chris?
Chris, actually years ago I was at Cannabis Talk 101, and I'm sitting on the set, and I'm from the East Coast, so I know a little bit about hip hop and whatnot, and I knew what was going on with that back then because I shot all kinds of crazy stuff with my camera, and he was on the other end of the set being interviewed. And I'm just sitting there, and then when they announced who he was and with Death Row, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So now I'm intently listening to him, and then when he found out who I was, so it was kind of funny, we're both fanning on each other. Yeah. And then he was really interested in what I did, and he asked me a million questions, and we traded numbers, and our friendship just evolved and cultivated. And he came to me with a blunt one day, because that's, I'm known for rolling my blunts and whatnot, and joints, etc. And he showed me this little hemp wrap blunt, and I said, "Oh, that's super cute, but what does it mean to you? What?" And I guess I impacted him because he went home and created a whole brand called Sweets. And and we've just evolved, and our friendship is where it is now,
We're talking about Chris the Glove, a legendary music producer, Death Row Records, worked on The Chronic with Dr. Dre, just
very underrated.
Yeah,
I shout this guy out all the time. He's, to me, he's the backbone of any type of industry, even in the movie industry. You don't know these guys behind the camera right now who's making this happen. And he created a lot of beats that were just incredible. He scores a lot of music that in movies. It's like, seriously. And you'll call him up and he disappears for days at a time. You know what he's doing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that's my relationship with Chris.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
so,
well we talked about Chris, but who are you, Jerry? Tell me about you.
My name's Jerry Krecicki. I go by Jerry K. B Real came up with that acronym at one point, and us sitting down together. And I've been a photographer for most of my life. Photography brought me into the industry of taking pictures of people at clubs. Went to Hungary one year, back around 2004. We cut through Amsterdam, stopped at a hostel. We got off the train, and I was just like, wow. And first thing, I went to the Cricket, started smoking weed over there. It was an amazing thing. So I went back to the Cannabis Cup, started shooting pictures, ended up getting them in the magazine, my childhood magazine. And cannabis for me, I started smoking when I was 11 years old.
Nice.
Like the preacher's daughter and the cop's kid. Well, my dad was the head coach at a high school. Okay, and I came from a divorced family, and me and my brother were in an apartment complex where just happened to be a lot of the high school kids lived there, and one of the kids named Dickie was my age, a little older than me and my brother. And that's how they introduced me to weed. And it was more than weed back then. It was more like drugs back then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Weed was the first thing I smoked. And then, back then, every mother's cabinet had Valium in it. Some mother's little helpers, Preludes, Quaaludes, you name it, man. It's like all that, So I'm 60 years old, so my drug usage was very young age.
Did you ever think that cannabis, like, we're going to get back into that, but let's just, like, the way you saw cannabis as a child at 11.
I didn't even know what it was.
Right. And then now to see where it is as far as, like, dispensaries and being close to federal legalization.
What do I think about federal legalization?
No. What do you think of the transition from that to now?
From legacy to
traditional.
Yeah, I wish it was illegal again, because it got cannabis. The industry that I grew up in was more like, they say the hippie movement and whatnot, but honestly, cannabis is what got me off of drugs. That was my choice, and that's out of 3 drug rehabs and the things that I went through as a child and my family went through with me. Cannabis was the one thing I stuck to, and I've used it all my life. And I've documented many cannabis cups, and they were all fun in the beginning. And the Prop 215 with Dennis Perone and Jason Beck, and writing rules of that nature. It was an amazing time. And not to downplay where we're at now, but where I've there used to be a code of honor, like in the cannabis industry. Nobody knew what a box was. Now everybody knows what a box is. It's 100 packs of weed. So as far as loyalty, that's definitely something that's been lost in the cannabis industry right now.
Tell me about it.
Loyalty, especially the people are getting into the industry. When I got into the industry, it was because of something I loved. I was just peddling bags and rolling. I would take my Led Zeppelin album cover and get all the seeds out of my Colombian and roll up 100 and something joints and take it to school and sell it. By the time I was in 7th grade, I was bringing home,
look at that. The plant might have helped you get there as an entrepreneur.
If anybody tells you that stoners are not entrepreneurs, then they're definitely not educated and not paying attention. Even with artists, some of your best artists in the world, did psychedelics and whatnot, to get out of the box, to be creative. You know what I'm saying?
Charles Baudelaire.
As a musician, we had our share of experimentation.
You had
for sure. I mean, staying up late, going on long trips, and night after night meeting, new crowds of people. It's a trip. I've been on some really big festivals. I've seen a lot, and cannabis has been like the common thread through all of these things.
It is the common thread. A friend in weed is a friend indeed. That's a shirt I wore back in the 70s, into the 80s, and so you're asking where the cannabis industry is now. It's all over the place. Like the strains that I grew up are lost. They're watered down. You go, they name it anything. Oh, it smells like. I was with Xzibit the other day, man. It smells just like that fucker. Let's name it Xzibit.
You're right.
They do anything. It's just ice cream cake. You understand what I'm saying? Being, facetious with what I'm saying.
We were just talking about that. When I came up, it was just chronic and stress,
and then mids.
That was it.
Well, now even with all the names, I don't even pay attention to the names. There's about 6 or 7 scents. It's going to be a gelato, a citrus, a gassy scent, an earthy scent. Like there's categories, and if you know how you react to each scent, you know what you're getting. Correct. The names are pretty much null and void.
It's just hype.
That's why I stick to OGs.
I stick to OGs as well.
I smoke only OGs if I can help it. I smoke candies when people give me a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of good cannabis out there. The growers are doing an amazing job, but the government, the way they're laying out cannabis right now for the world and for America is only for their benefit. So when I was messing with weed, and then they were growing weed, and a pound of OG was $5,500, there was a reason it was $5,500. But all those people that grew that kind of weed, they're not growing it anymore because they've been pushed out by the corporations. So slowly but surely, your weed's going to be pushed out by the corporations, and we have a whole new cannabis industry that we're in. So your middlemen are getting cut out. The quality of the weeds degrading.
It's going to suffer.
You know, it's suffering. The regulations, you know, are so unjustified to me. They don't make any sense. Well, at least when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, and I had a couple of bales of marijuana, and I was driving it to North Carolina, or I was going to Georgia because I was on that coast, or going to New York, you could literally look up the law and you knew what was going to happen to you. Now you don't know from state line to state line. You know, you could fly somewhere and you go to Dubai, they could test your blood.
They could put you to death.
Yeah, there's countries
when you go to Dubai, there's a big sign that says, you know, any drug infraction can be punishable by death. And they have the right to do that if you have a drop of anything with you.
The countries that require testing before you enter their country, I'm just not even going to attempt. I'm not. It's not for me.
I want to stay where I'm safe.
Exactly.
You know, I've traveled around the world and took my weed with me, but you know, I was a risk taker at that time. Now I don't have time to.
That's the way we did it. It wasn't legal when we were moving around and doing those records, but I mean, we love the plant, and we love what the plant meant to us, and it enhanced everything that we were doing. So
look at what B-Real's done for the industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, B-Real's a good friend of mine. You know, and I've watched B-Real just grow and grow, and he's an amazing family man, entrepreneur. I mean, this dude, he does it all, and he smokes weed every day, all day, and there's not a thing he misses. Does not miss a click.
If you had to compare the way the cannabis industry is now compared to the end of prohibition, where are we? Are there similarities, and what do you think? You know,
prohibition, like Al Capone prohibition with alcohol.
With alcohol, because alcohol was once illegal
for a year.
And then
they flipped it around real quick.
It was easier for them to get out of prohibition of alcohol than it is for us to get out of prohibition of cannabis. And, and the years are stretching, and they're stretching because there's so much money involved in it. They're trying to figure out how to get their piece.
Right.
It's an entire industry. They can't make it legal. You have prisons that, you know, hire guards that make uniforms for the guards, uniforms for the prisoners, the labor that they provide. Like, it is an entire ecosystem, and you can't just take it away. It's not good for the economy, but it's insane that we've allowed crimes where there's no victim. We create criminals where there's no victim, and then we profit off of their mistake under the 13th Amendment.
Yes, the government creates the black markets. Look what they did with menthol cigarettes.
Yeah, it's never going to go away. It's like, how are they going to ever stabilize the system?
They're not.
Well, you can start to criminalize other basic activities like abortion. That'll put a lot of more bodies in jail.
Well, you know what they're going to do with the cannabis industry is the federal government, once it becomes legal, they're going to set a whole new guideline of laws out. And the laws are going to be against the ones like me. Unless I have a Walmart buying my weed or something.
Right, but right now it's legal to grow at least 2 plants, right? Isn't that what the law is?
Depending on what county you live in California.
See, you don't even know. It should just be across. If you live in America, you should be able to grow your own medicine, period. Right. The reason they don't want that is because then we could barter and trade. Hey, y'all like what you got?
And then we cut into their profits, and they don't. That's quite literally why a lot of corporate cannabis companies lobby to keep home grow illegal in states that are considering laws for it, because it'll cut into their profits if we can grow our own. And, you know, if a regular person who maybe doesn't deal with a lot of debilitating pain, they could grow an ounce of weed and it would last them quite some time. They would never need to go to a dispensary and pay 33% in tax.
Yeah. Well, who wants to live in the Bible Belt anyway?
I don't.
You know, actually, Oklahoma's in the Bible Belt, and they're a little lax.
Well, you can still get pretty fun. Oklahoma, but they're on it though.
Yeah, exactly. That's
they got
Bible
a booming
Belt
system out there.
We're in California, and our laws.
And they're arresting people now all of a sudden, and they're changing their rules, because what the government does is they desensitize us with commercials for food, with their rule, with all the news they give us. They desensitize us. In Prop 215, they desensitized us. Then Prop 64 came through, and then they progressive. Okay, so let's just flip the switch real quick. Mushrooms. I grew up eating mushrooms out of a cow field. I used to trip my balls off. I listened to Frank Zappa doing mushrooms. I mean,
I have two horrible mushroom stories. Shit.
I've got a couple myself.
So here the government is allowing them to sell mushrooms legally. They're all over the place now. You know, in Amsterdam, they stopped people using them for a while, and they were legal in Amsterdam. This is where I got this from Soma after a full moon tea party in 2006. And after
what's a full moon tea party for our listeners? He has these full moon tea parties where he don't know what full moon tea is.
Yeah, you've been to Soma's, right?
You fucking
in Amsterdam?
Yes, I've one of my horrible mushroom stories happened in Amsterdam. Okay, when you want to hear them, I'll let you know. But they are crazy.
Everybody will have one, but the government is allowing everybody to do this, right? You're investing millions in a mushroom grow. You have a grow at the stadium. Everybody's selling them. Everybody's doing it. All of a sudden, watch. They're going to flip rules. They're going to start coming up. Now they're going to try to take control of it because it's going crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of the things that I've found with psilocybin and cannabis and whatnot, they don't understand it enough to. They want to put it in a pill so bad.
Why? They didn't understand the internet.
They want to put it in a pill so bad, but they don't understand the dynamic of it and the dosing of it.
You cannot put this in a pill.
Exactly, because there's hundreds of chemicals in that flower. But how American pharmacies or pharmaceuticals work, it's one indication, one molecule. So, you have headaches, we're going to give you a molecule for that. Oh, you're having stomach aches, we're going to give you a molecule for that. It's like single molecular, and that's what they've tried to make single THC pills, and they've had to scrap it because terrible side effects. It's like going to an orchestra and asking the tuba to hold it down by itself. Like, it can't. It absolutely can't. But when you put
stuff was terrible. The K2
it had people eating faces off. In
the
Florida.
K2 stuff was made in a lab with them trying to create synthetic cannabinoids.
It was the same shit.
The bath salts.
Bath salts, synthetic weed.
Well, the K2, that spice that do you remember when that hit the streets?
People were like jumping out of windows.
Right, that was created in a lab. That was pharmaceutical companies trying to create synthetic.
Hell no. And Delta 8. That's I feel the same way about that.
So the hemp farming industry is going to be really an influence in the cannabis industry coming up. The farm bills, the hemp, the patents, who owns this, the Delta, all this stuff's going to play a role here. Just watch what happens here. And they're trying to distract everybody, which they're doing a great job at it. Yeah. Everybody's distracted at everything right now. I've been in this industry so long that I've photographed everything. I've been to the craziest grows. I've did product photography. I've helped people build brands. I've represented people all over the world building their brand. And during that time, indirectly, this person you see right here, Jerry K, became a brand. So my Instagram used to really pop. I had like 55,000 followers. It took me over a decade to build it. And everybody that was on it, I pretty much met or shot or was at a cup or somewhere because I travel a lot. And because I speak what I believe, and I, whether it's women's rights or cannabis or whatever the reason may be, Instagram didn't like it. And then I had all the Nigerians. They had at least 1,000 accounts of me, and they were scamming so many millions of dollars that off of people that my DMs were just racked with.
How did you know it was a Nigerian?
Because I talked to them.
Wow!
They called. Hey, hold on now. I'm gonna give you 3 occasions. One time, the first time, Stoner Rob's on live like this, and on the screen, they're acting like it's me talking in the chat. He calls me on my cell phone. I get on live with him. They start saying, yeah, we're doing this, then tell me they're making 50 bands a week. Then another time I'm at home sewing because I make all my pants, and I'm sewing at my mom's, and I go live on my feed. They jump on my feed on my real page, and there's 4 Nigerians. They're all Louis Vuitton and Gucci'd up.
Nice.
They got a couple of phones. They're talking to me, admitting what they're doing. They were, showing me where they lived. They showed me their village. They showed me their apartment building with a name on it. Down the streets, little kids running around. Everything they showed me. And they said, literally, like, I'm the white-haired man in Nigeria. It's crazy. I probably have my picture painted on a fucking wall somewhere.
Wow.
They flexed the
They
fraud.
You looked at my analytics, it was the United States, and then it was Nigeria. And then it was, other countries.
Well, we got some trips planned to go over there, man. So you might as well go with us, man. We'll set that shit straight.
So there's this dude called Hush Puppy that got busted for billions. He was moving millions of dollars from taking it from people off of Instagram and stuff. And he worked with a group called the Yahoo Boys. I'm not making this shit up. You can't write this shit.
No, you cannot.
Look it up on the internet. I'm not lying.
Okay,
So
because
these
the
guys-
internet is like.
So they busted it. When this guy. Once they busted him, a lot of my pages came down.
Oh, nice.
And then I also trademarked my name, so when I was using that, the takedown letters, so they were doing that. And even my attorney was arguing with Instagram's attorneys that I am Jerry Krecicki. That's my fucking
It's like
trademark.
identity theft. Like you need LifeLock.
Yeah, it's really.
Truly.
Well, the internet is rough because they do this to a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look,
Yeah.
I've just stopped even trying to figure out what happens on the internet.
I don't even care anymore.
And once AI is introduced into this, it's going to get even more weird.
Yeah.
There's
So,
gonna, you're gonna
it's
be
just-
singing
it's-
country
exactly.
music.
Let's go back because you have I love your ability of storytelling, right?
I love the way you're a poet, and I listen to your music all the way here. You a Jehovah's Witness?
Yes, my parents were Jehovah's
I was
Witnesses.
listening to the lyrics.
Yes.
I played it
Just
back. I
learned.
said, "Damn, it's Jehovah's."
Yes.
That's
I personally,
crazy.
I personally disassociated myself.
Right.
Because I wasn't baptized. So in order to be disfellowshipped, you have to be baptized.
Okay.
But I disassociated myself at 14 because fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like I know a cult when I smell one.
Before you get on me, I just want to say I listen to a lot of rappers, and I can understand what the fuck you're saying. Like, I enjoy listening to your rhymes. Like, I heard that. It's like, a lot of them you can't understand, or I don't know how they mix mayonnaise with this and that. It don't make no sense to me. But you're a poet, and I love listening
Thank
to
you, man. Thank you.
We had a
Thank
thing
you.
called live art, and there were people who would just do whatever they want, and we would sit there, and some people would read poetry, so paint, play the guitar, and smoke weed and drink. It was adults, so it was fun.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. But I want to hear because you started saying something and it caught my attention. So you said that you dropped out of school, you went to Miami,
Went to the Everglades.
into
Naples.
the Everglades, and you found some marijuana smugglers. Pick it up from there.
Well, that's a long story, but I got that. I mean, that is a long story, but I went down to Florida with these two. Actually, I left at spring break and went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I met this girl named Regina and Sonia with my friend Larry Blackwell. I was just barely 16 years old, not 17 yet. Had a black Malibu Chevelle that I bought with the money my aunt gave me when she passed away, and it was a badass little car. And we went to Myrtle Beach for spring break, and we met these two girls, and they kept talking about Florida, and they know this guy down there on this place called Marco Island. And I was like, man, I haven't told this story in a minute. I'll have to make it quick as possible. But anyway, long story short, they decided they were going to Florida and they wanted to get there, and I said, fuck it, I'll drive you and I'll go. And Larry said he'd go. Well, we take them back to Charlotte, North Carolina. I put the two girls up into this place called Country City, USA, which was where Randy Travis actually started playing music. And I worked in a boot thing, and they're selling country boots when I was younger. And then I went to my house and I told my mom, I said, Mom, look, I'm going to Florida and I'm going to go down there and I'm going to get off of drugs. And that's what I need. I need to leave Charlotte, North Carolina. I can't get away from the drugs. And when I'm talking about drugs, I'm talking about the kind of drugs there used to be, you know, like Dilaudids and speed and 18985s and heroin, and John Belushi was doing speedballs and, you know, Quaaludes, methaqualude. All those were the drugs I grew up with, not the shit they got now.
Yeah.
That will kill you. You know.
Truly.
The shit I was taking, you overdose if you took too much, but at least you knew it was getting it from the pharmacy.
Yeah, at least it was good, right?
Yeah, it was in the medicine cabinet. Properly dosed and labeled.
So I ended up told my mom I wanted to leave. She backed me up 100%. My mother always supported me with everything I did. So I threw some clothes in my trunk. She gave me a few $100s. I had some money too. I went to go get Larry. Larry's like, I can't go, I have a case. I'm like, fuck, we got a case? Yeah, he's got court next week. I said, well, I'm leaving tonight. So we left. I go pick up the girls. We're leaving town. We stopped by a friend of mine, Keith Schultz, who was like my best friend, who actually retired as a Hell's Angel, full blown out. And that's where I probably ended up if I'd have stayed in the Carolinas.
I didn't know retirement was an option.
He's like retired, gets a fucking check.
What?
The Hell's Angels are different.
Hell's Angels has a 401k?
They're a business, bro. I ain't
What?
shitting you. That's a business.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Also, can we sidebar to the fact that you've been smoking cannabis since you were 11 years old, but your memory is impeccable.
Yes.
Stoners.
Okay.
And neuroprotected.
Anyway, I picked them up. Stopped by Keith's. We picked up a lid, which back then was like a 5-finger bag in a Ziploc bag, so $25. Picked that up, and off we go. And we're headed to Florida. And we get down to Florida, and they didn't have cell phones or anything back then. There was only pay phones. So we ended up in a place called Fort Myers, Florida, and they couldn't get these guys on the phone. So we ended up staying in Fort Myers for like a week, and we started running out of money. And I was like, what are we going to do? And I said, so we pulled up to this Circle K. They had Circle K's back then. And there were like 8 dudes standing in front of a water thing where they had ice that opened the doors back then like that. And I looked at Gina. I said, Gina, you need to start go talking shit and find us a place to stay, you know? And so they went over and started talking to these dudes, and they were like, yeah, we live in Arcadia, Florida. Come with us. I was like, all right. So Gina jumped in one. Sonia's in my car. A couple others in my car. Off we go to Arcadia, Florida. We're driving to Arcadia, Florida. Midway down the road, my wheel in the back corner here is next to my car door, because the axle back then, they had bearings in the back end. Back then the rear ends were different, so it spun the rear off. Car pulls off. They were driving away. I'm flicking the lights. They stopped, turned around, come back, got her. They gave me a double barrel shotgun, said we'll be back. I'm sitting in my car, laid in my front seat all night long with these 18-wheelers going by.
And a shotgun.
And then my shotgun.
Wow.
They came, the next morning I wake up and look out, see where I'm at. I'm right dead ass in front of the Arcadia Mental Institution. I get out and I start walking, and lo and behold, here they come with their makeshift record truck. They come up, hook up my vehicle. They take me like 10 miles into the woods on a place called Peace River. And that's how I was introduced to Florida.
Wow.
So they're staying, the girls are there. I get out of my car and I sit like that, and I'm talking, and I look down, and my socks are just turning black, and that's how I was introduced to red ants. And I'm running across the yard, man. I go to run in the shower to wash off. I turn the shower on. Does anybody know what sulfur water is?
No.
The smell.
Well, it's not. It smells like rotten eggs.
Yes.
So I turned it on. All my silver turned black. And I ended up staying there with these guys, and the girls end up going down to. They're there with me for a little bit, and they ended up contacting these guys down in Miami. And I think they were mafia. I'm not sure exactly what they did, but they ended up taking the girls on down there. I stayed back. I was working on a watermelon farm for like 3 weeks. with these guys, shucking watermelon. I was fucking 16 years old, sweating my ass off. Mosquitoes, I hated it. Finally got them on the phone. My mom wanted me to come back to North Carolina. I said, I ain't coming back until I succeed down here. When I come back, I'm going to have something. So, ended up, the guy couldn't find an axle. They ended up taking an axle out of one of their cars and put it in my Chevelle and didn't even charge me for it. That's what Southern people were like down there. You know, these guys. And there's a lot of other stories there that are fun that happen. You know, killing alligators, first time doing that. A lot of stuff on the Peace River. There's a lot went on.
A lot of stuff on the Peace River.
On the Peace River, eating swamp cabbage and whatnot. But
what is swamp cabbage?
It's the middle of the it's the middle of the palm. This palm, and they chop it up. So anyway, I learned a lot there. Ended up getting in my car, headed towards a place called Naples and Marco Island. So they're in Marco Island. They tell me to meet them. I'm driving down, and this is how I got into the weed industry. I'm driving down. Literally, Naples goes down US 41. It's 2 roads, and it turns, and there's one red light, and then it goes all the way to the fucking Miami, right? And there's one turn, you turn down to go to Everglades City, and then there's Marco Island. So I'm drive all the way past this shit. I'm lost as hell. So finally I pull back up. Well, they're staying with this dude, not the people in Marco. This whack job named Jersey Joe. He had a piece of land. My mom can verify all this shit. We'll call her ass up. I had her on the phone. So this dude was the kind, and this has been going on. Human trafficking is kind of part of what I'm getting into right now because I almost fell into this. This is real. So the 2 girls were at this place with this dude, Jersey Joe. All he talked about was his lesbian bar and all the pornography and things he did in New Jersey and whatnot. And he had a hot dog truck that would pull from his property out to the highway, and then people would drive by and come and get Jersey Joe's hot dogs. And, you know, I lived on the property, and we were there for about maybe 2 weeks. Well, both the girls were sleeping with me, and he didn't like it. So he literally was like getting crazy and doing all this weird shit, like not feeding
had a hater.
them.
It's called hating.
He was hating.
Yeah, he was hating.
And it got dangerous for a minute, right? So I called my mom on the payphone, and we're like on this road it's called Immokalee Road. I-75 just stops right there. So I used to get out there in my Chevelle and just do like 140 up and down the street. Nobody was around. There's potato fields. So you could really kill somebody out there and you would never find them.
Wow. Okay.
And so we were in that type of situation with this guy out there. So they end up, a limousine one morning pulls up and picks up the 2 girls. And I'm like, all right, I'll see you guys later. Call me and I'll meet up with you. But how are you going to call me? So they left. And I'm stuck there with this dude, and he's nuts, right? So when he went to sleep, I took all the keys to all his vehicles, all his tractors, all his shit. I called my mom up. I said, Mom, send me some fucking money. I'm getting the fuck out of here. This dude's crazy. He's nuts. She says, okay. She wires me $200 to Western Union. That should be enough gas to get home because it was only like fucking 65 cents, maybe $1 a gallon or something.
Wow.
Not like it is now. And I dump all his keys. I could hear him fucking screaming, where are you going? Because he was abusing us, because he wasn't paying us and he was barely feeding us, and we didn't have nowhere to go. No communication to the outside world, really. We're in the fucking boonies. Naples is in the boonies. So I get in my car, I take off, I'm driving down the road, sun's coming down. Here's a dude fucking hitchhiking with a milk jug. I picked that fucker up. Tell him what's going on. Next day, he has me a job at the World Bazaar, working there, making like $4.50 an hour. And then when I got there, I met this dude named Albert McGee. His brother was a sheriff, but Albert McGee was dealing coke and all that shit, right? So they let me sleep in my car for 3 months out there. And in their backyard, I had a fan on it, did my thing at this World Bazaar, end up going down, get a job at the Savoy, and that's where the weed started. I met some guys from down in Everglades City. I was going in, putting quarters in my hat, but by the time the end of the job, when I was taking home everybody's paycheck, then the bells started. Tim McBride, he smuggled marijuana. There's a book called Saltwater Cowboy about him, and about our life down there, and he was the one bringing it in, and we were the ones picking it up and selling the shit. Yeah. And there's a whole story about that, and that's how I got heavily into the weed versus the way I was in North Carolina, just selling it in school. And weed nowadays is so different because people, when I started shooting for the magazines and I would go into a grow, you couldn't show the floor, so you're trying to cut everything out with your whatever Photoshop 1.
Yeah, they didn't want to show their secrets.
Right, and now the industry, as you say, where it's going, and now the industry's like wide open, and people are posting on Telegram. They got packs for this and that, and whatnot, and it's just like the Wild West. Yeah. How are they going to get control of that?
They won't.
They will not.
I feel like it's time to take your L. You have not beat the war on drugs. The war on drugs is still continuing. It's a waste of money. Just let it go. Nobody's getting hurt.
So, and when I got into the industry of weed smuggling, everybody wasn't walking around with guns and shit. They were barefooted in shorts, and everybody's having a great time. Nobody was shooting each other or robbing each other. You're too busy fucking...
You're too high.
You're too busy moving shit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, man.
But as now, I got tools in the trade. That's what I'm doing.
Good.
So all that lifestyle has brought me to where I wanted to make a tangible product for myself.
Okay, yeah. Tell us what you're doing now.
So in 2016, I went to DR and I started working with the leaf. Because everybody was opening the backwoods and throwing them underneath the furniture, and they were just destroying mansion parties and whatnot. So I went to the DR.
Guilty.
I went to the DR, and I ended up finding the backwood leaf, which is a particular leaf plant, just like cannabis is different in different strains. So it's not a thin leaf, it's a thicker leaf. It takes a year plus to cure. So since 2016, I've been messing with these things. So what I did is I had a machine designed to cut them just like a backwood is when you unroll it. These have been in this pack for over a year, and they're still fresh.
Really?
Yes. So I helped a lot of the rollers and stuff do this. So now what I did is I have packaging. I'm going full retail with it. And we created a brand called Quickies.
Okay.
And that's been a whole road in itself of fuckery because someone tried to trademark my original name, which was Pre-Cut. And I understand everybody wants to try to get in people's lanes, but come on, guys. I mean, really?
Yeah.
Come up with
that's what makes it not fun.
Yeah.
When it stops being about the brands that you can love and trust, and you got to go through fighting somebody who just knows the paperwork or knows the loopholes.
On top of this, people counterfeiting your shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got a whole lot to say about it. Brass Knuckles was the most counterfeited brand. We were the first in a lot of things, but being the most heavily counterfeited was one of them.
And also Dank Gummies, which is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So I've created this. I have this coming out soon. It's been a secret for me. And this right here is my. So what I did also in 2018, I created a hemp wrap. And so I went all over the world looking for the perfect hemp wrap. And they're very difficult to find the perfect hemp wrap because they all fail heavy metal testing. They're just a problem. And I found one that passes everything. So what I did was I cut them. That right there is a whole nother ball. You're going to love that.
Yeah,
these is crazy. Right here are the hemp wraps.
Okay, that's what I smoke.
The hemp wraps I designed like this for a reason, because if you go to quickiewraps.com, I have a how-to roll video in there, and these are cut to roll not long ways, but in a spiral motion with a roller. And where's my roller? Oh, there's my roller. See, what I do is I put the glass tip right in the roller, and then I fill it up with the product, right? So let's say that's what it is. So here's something I rolled already. Let's just simulate just to show you how it rolls.
Yeah, it's easy.
Let's pretend there's glass here and this is the product, right? So then I shut it. I open it like this, right? So I lick it down the edge right here, or you can use glue if you want to, but I lick it and it kind of gets slimy and it sticks real well so your tip doesn't fall out.
Guard glue.
So I put it in right here. So when I click it and then I start pulling this towards me, see how it's rolling it?
Yeah.
So once it's to there, then I lick it this way and then it rolls it all the way down like this and then it pulls it in
that's
single time.
Perfect for people who like to smoke blunts but don't know how to roll them.
Absolutely.
Right. And for people who, no, I got the better one for that one. So these right here, I created a 3-pack of these, right? And it has 3 glass tips in it that are reusable. And it has a little rolling tray, and then it has me on the side right there.
Yeah, they made you look like Zeus.
So, and I had, it's okay, Club. This is my sidekick down here, guys.
Yeah.
So, I have a QR code here on the back because that's the new, I've been using these since I was doing my stash and dashes back in the day. And with that, I've decided to just give my game to everybody. I used to teach people how to roll. I charged them how to do it. I used to teach them how to create a SKU, how to get them in a shop, all of that.
Now you've got some really gigantic joints too.
Yeah, I roll them big ones.
Yeah, man, that's incredible. How much weed you put in those things?
Anywhere from 79 to 104 grams burns perfectly. I've done 3/4 pounders. But these right here, they're all natural and they're really fun and easy to use, and you get the tip. This one right here, I'm gonna have to open it up because I want to show you this. This is a quickie, and I say fill them and pack them. These are fill, pack them, wrap them. This is a fully functional item here, okay? First of all, you can open it up, and it has a resealable top. Then you pull this out right here, and it has a bubble around it that says Quickies on it. Then you open it up like this. Then you drop it out like this. And then this has a glass tip in it already.
All you gotta do is pack it.
And then all you gotta do is fill and pack it. And then when you're done, you stick it back in here, ready to go. Then you stick it back in the package.
Wow.
Oh, here it is. There's a little
I was
stick.
gonna say, is there a poker?
We have a little quickie stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one missed it.
You got your lingo and everything. The quickie stick.
Hey, listen, I've brand and shot product photography for many, many years, and it's time for me to maybe work on myself and focus on myself. And I really appreciate you having me on the show. When you called me, I was like, Xzibit the rapper. So I appreciate it because I've lost my connection with my Instagram and a lot, but people that know me throughout, but it's still a lot of
you're
people
a legend.
are looking
for people
for me.
who don't know, Jerry is very well respected in the cannabis community, especially out here in California. It sets the trends, sets the tones for a lot of what happens in cannabis, and Jerry is beloved out here with us. So I wanted you to be on our first show.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming, man. I appreciate it.
I didn't sleep at all last night. No. So this right here is my hemp wrap with a glass tip on it, so you get the enjoyment of the glass tip, and then you take this little stick right here and you just fill it up.
That's a very important stick.
And it really, you can fill these bad boys up quick. So like you guys out there, when your girl, she's getting ready, you want to go out, right? What's going on? You watching Barney? You watching YouTube? You scratching your head? I'll be there in 5 minutes. They're just now starting to flat iron their hair or fix their little curls from
Not
their,
this
right?
girl.
You whip out your rolling tray like this right here. You start breaking up your shit real quick. And then you just start filling and packing. And I tell you, by the time you're done, you can have at least 10 in your pocket, resealed, ready to go. And now you don't have to lug your backpack with you, and you can go in the club and smoke. Because in California, we smoke in the clubs. Miami, we smoke in the clubs. New York smoked in the clubs. Dallas smoked in the clubs.
Everywhere.
Austin smoked in the clubs.
Yeah, until they kick us out or arrest us.
Smoked in the clubs. Everywhere.
Yep.
So, except for Las Vegas. They did not like me. I smoked with Snoop Dogg up
Las
in
Vegas
his little
does not.
cabana in the club, but of course, it's smoking with the Chinese.
Yeah, I've had no
ambassador.
problems. I've had no problem smoking in Vegas.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they
got
did.
kicked out of Dre's.
Ah,
Yeah, I did too. Yeah. Hey, if you ain't getting kicked out, you ain't having fun.
Well, they didn't even let me in. They smelled me at the door.
They're
like, "What's in your bag?"
You know, let me introduce you to some folks.
yeah, so now I just want to shout out to you, bro. I appreciate you
No, we
having me
appreciate
on the
you,
show. I wish this show much success.
Thank you.
And you can find my stuff at quickieraps.com.
Yes. How
We
can
do
they find you on
wholesale.
social media?
The social media. So I still have Jerry Krecicki because some guy got it back, but it was completely stripped. All zeros, and he had put it on his page, and so I got that page back. But I have Jerry K's LA Cookies because it was a strain that I had back around 2018 that was cookies with an LA Confidential cross. Really nice strain. I lost it due to the regulations and the feds busting the grow, but now I relaunched that page. It's called Jerry, JERRYKS LA Cookies, and then right here, Heartbreaker Chloe. And I spell that with a CLOE, and she's like my sidekick on everything I do.
All
We
right.
just did the Champ show, and she's like my liquid Xanax. You know,
Yeah.
you notice we ain't smoked anything on the show, and I didn't miss a lick. I'm like, I really enjoyed being here, just doing this. You know, cannabis brings us together,
Absolutely.
in so many ways, and all you guys in the back, I see how excited you guys look just listening and smiles and stuff. And that's what it's about for me. It's my lifestyle. Jerry K is my lifestyle. I live for the today. I plan for tomorrow. I go through ups and downs like everybody else.
Yeah.
I go through breakups. Sometimes I'm broke. Sometimes I'm not. I mean, I go through life. And cannabis is what really, to sum this up, cannabis saved my life. I'm passionate about it. And no one will ever steer me to believe anything different. I listen to my body, and I know what works for me. And the worst thing about the cannabis movement for me is getting caught with it by the wrong person who wants to take it away from me. And that's the way I feel about it.
There it is.
Amen.
It's
Jerry K
spoken.
approved.
Spoken. Yo, Jerry K, thank you for being on the
Yeah,
first
thank you.
Lasagna Ganja podcast.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yo, so thank you guys for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Spread the word. Lasagna Ganja podcast. Yo, you want more information on us? Go to DCPofficial.com.
Check out the Lasagna Ganja podcast wherever podcasts are streamed.
And check out our separate feed with video episodes.
Available on Spotify and YouTube.
For more information, visit DCPofficial.com.